If you were put under cryogenic sleep due to a deadly global disease, what would you do? You've just woken up in an empty laboratory with monsters lurking right outside. No one is coming to save you. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the Thorn monsters in King of Thorn. 90% of the world is going to die, and the planet is just skipping along, going about its day, when people suddenly see a mysterious object descending from the heavens. It's not a bird, not a plane, and it's not Superman, but a woman crashing down and splattering like an egg on the sidewalk. But her death is not normal. As soon as she hit the ground, her body turned to stone, crumbling upon impact, with her petrified corpse just laying there for all to see. Her dying during the holidays makes me think that she was on the naughty list, and her turning into some kind of stone makes me suspect that she was infected with some kind of crazy disease. Now, if we talk about the worst of the worst diseases out there that can actually kill you within 24 hours of infection, this can range from Ebola to the bubonic plague to dengue fever and meningococcal disease, which is a disease that spreads saliva and nasal droplets from infected people and can compromise the lining of the brain and spinal cord. But this chick completely turned into some kind of stone thing, which means that it likely could be an autoimmune disease that can affect and show problems on the skin, such as the autoimmune condition psoriasis. This also makes me think that anything that can cause symptoms to show on the outside of your skin is serious enough to make anyone freak out, cause that stone corpse means that shit's about to go down and we have no idea what's going on. But if you like the thought of pretending you know what's going on but really don't, like our writer over here, sorry Dom, then this is where Raycon will come in handy and will also be our sponsor for today's video. Thank you! Because just like mutated viruses that don't stop killing, oh no, these earbuds won't stop killing the marketplace, that's what I'm trying to say. They're the new everyday earbuds that offer an improved rubber oil look and feel. They sound great, they have a low profile in my ear, and they're secure as hell. I love it. Thanks to their optimized gel tips for that perfect in-ear fit. I love them for my workouts, when I'm doing my laundry. They even got me jamming to Stevie Wonder on the daily. So push the doom and gloom of the world's worst anime virus out of your ear and make way for Raycon's offered 8 hours of playtime and 32-hour battery life with a built-in mic that'll have your infected screams and squeals sounding HD at the press of a button. That's so cool. All the while listening to the best of the best at half the price of other premium audio brands. So support the channel and click the link in the description box below or go to buyraycon.com/HTBA for up to 30% off and a 45-day happiness guarantee. What more do you need? Brought to you by Raycon. The public surrounds this woman's corpse in shock, as soon enough the world comes to know the petrifying news. The World Health Organization has just announced that the corpse of this woman was carrying a deadly virus. The world is coming face to face with a global deadly virus known as acquired cellular induration syndrome, or the Medusa Virus, which results in the body producing an excess amount of chemical compounds produced in lethal quantities that has a 100% mortality rate, turning people within the second stage of infection to stone within 12 hours. And there's no cure. But of course, leave it to the Russians like this guy, who then tells the world that they figured out a way to beat the virus by offering cryopreservations to people whose bodies will then be frozen until science can figure out a cure. But the NSA doesn't trust his company, Venus Gate, the largest biotech company in the world with infinite resources run by doomsday cults. And they think that they created this virus, so they put up a top secret plan in place to find out the truth. A few years later, the cryo chamber becomes operational and 160 members from around the world gather to be the first of many to be cryogenically frozen as the destroyed world waits for someone to find a cure that will not come to most of them, as they will almost all die a horrible death soon. And here we meet the twins Kasumi and Shizuku, among others, as they drive in buses to this creepy Scottish castle. Inside, at orientation, the group is told that they will soon be put to sleep as their sleep pods and vitals will be monitored by the most advanced computer system in the world, named Alice. So even if the staff dies, the whole lab will still be running. But there's one problem. Only one of the twins can enter the cryo chamber, so they sadly bid goodbye to each other, promising to meet up again whenever Kasumi wakes up. Dropping off their belongings and being injected with a tracker, the 160 members head deep below, blissfully unaware of what horrors await them as they lay in their coffins and pass into a deep slumber. Whoa. Even if the world was in shambles, I'd still be skeptical as hell about all of this. For one, cryogenics? Are you kidding me? You mean to tell me that I'll be frozen, with my liberties taken away from me, and I'll be looked after by a bunch of kooks? You are insane. For starters, cryobiologist Kenneth B. Story claims that cryonics is impossible and will never be possible, as it proposes overturning the laws of physics, chemistry, and molecular science. Which leads me to my next point. If you told me that cryonics was invented, then I'd certainly waited at least a few decades with ample research under its belt, and not a mere 3 or 4 years before testing it out myself. The problem with cryopreserving as of now is that when frozen, significant fractions of the water within the body are converted to ice. However, they are not truly frozen. The chemistry is merely slowed down, which can only be sustained for a few months. If an individual was cooled to temperatures required for true long-term stability, then as of current technology, the person frozen inside would not survive. So I say we might have to let it go on this idea. Seemingly centuries later, Kasumi finally wakes up, but something isn't right. She puts on her glasses and sees the most horrid sight. Nothing, no personnel, no lights, no one, except thorny vines encasing the entire room, hugging the walls. It's almost as if she's been sleeping for decades. But that's when all the cryopods begin opening up one by one, and confused members wake up to each other, baffled and worried. Something is not right, and everyone knows it. Kasumi tries to get down, but that's when she comes face to face with a horrifying mutated bat, scaring the life out of her and causing her to fall. And that's when the horror show begins. One by one, these mutated devil bats begin to descend from the skies above as an army of blood-sucking vampires begin killing everybody in the room. In absolute terror, people begin panicking and rushing to the door, hitting and shoving each other like their lives depend on it. The door finally opens, but there's no lift. And in all the chaos and pushing and shoving, people begin falling to their deaths, seemingly choosing to avoid a more terrifying fate by staying with the mutated bats. But down the shaft, the horror only continues with this gigantic, terrifying octopus, eating all of those who fall to their death like a 10-course cannibal meal. But then this glasses guy finally finds a second door leading into another strange room, and so the group makes a terrified dash for the door, sealing themselves in to catch their breath. However, they don't realize that what awaits them outside of this room is even more terrifying than the monsters here themselves. I knew nothing ever good came from trusting a company with the word corp in their name, but I'm surprised Kasumi even got out of there without even a scratch. There wasn't any good way out of this, but we definitely could have used everybody else to help me out. During the kerfluffle, I would have run near the elevator doors and would have tried to stay within the crowd, using them as protection to decrease the likelihood of the mutant bats picking me off. But I would have purposefully tried to stuff myself within the middle of the crowd toward either the left or right side of the walls surrounding them. This way, even if I got pushed to the front, I would have been stopped by the various structures tethered to the wall. And this part is very important, so listen up. If the power is not working properly, I would be scared to take a lift in a normal building. And these people want to take a lift inside this power-drained laboratory? That's insane! This is why being positioned near the left or right side of the walls would have been the perfect spot. The crowd would have helped me from avoiding any bats, and on the off chance there wasn't a lift there, then at least I would have been able to grab onto the side of either of the walls without being mindlessly shoved into the empty lift shaft. The group takes a breather as we meet the other surviving members. They try to figure out how long they've been asleep for and where those terrifying bats came from. Just then, Kasumi recognizes this guy's legs, as it was the same legs she saw earlier. Let's call him Six-Pack Stud, and she thinks something is not right with him. And what happened to the computer system Alice, who was supposed to be looking after them? The group has more questions than answers, but decide to get a move on, exploring what's beyond this room, as no one's coming to help them. Just then, they hear a strange rumbling outside, sounding like the footsteps of something huge. They need to move now. The group finally stumbles across a path overridden with leaking water. They have to find another route. This old man has had enough, and he plops down and just sits there. But then in the distance, we see saliva dripping from the ceiling, dripping closer to the group as the seconds pass, menacingly approaching the old man, and he doesn't even know it. Tall guy gets annoyed with old man's whining and tells him to shut it. But just then, a flood of saliva spills right in front of him as he looks up to to the most terrifying sight. This dragon saber-toothed creature. The beast then chomps down onto the old man's face, lifting him up with its alien mandibles, as the terrified old man helplessly begs to be spared. But this creature is no ally and clamps down onto his neck, decapitating his head from his body, and the rest of the gang reacts in horror. They need to run and they bolt, skirting through the pipe-ridden hallways until this kid tells them to stop running, claiming that this monster is exactly like the one in his game. This kid thinks he knows that monster's weakness. He tells the group that the monster attacked them because he heard them, and that it's actually blind. The group thinks he's nuts, but they are running out of time. The monster is drawing closer, cornering their only exit, forcing them to think fast and jumping into the water below them, thanks to Six-Pack Stud's creativity. Okay, if the first thing that you saw was mutant bats, then I think it's safe to assume that there are probably more baddies lurking around this facility, especially if we've been asleep long enough for plants to take over the entire underground building. Now, the kid said that this monster had bat vision, meaning that it relied mainly on echolocation, but if that's true, then that would still have meant that that monster could see at least a little. A very common mistake is thinking that bats are blind, when in reality they actually have very good vision. It's just more sensitive than regular humans, and some just can't see color. However, if we used what the kid said, then that means that this monster mainly uses echolocation to find us, which is done by emitting high-frequency sound pulses through the mouth or nose and listening to the echo. And the only things in nature that are made of flat, smooth surfaces are bodies of water and rocks. However, anything made from materials with small ridges or imperfections like old metal pipes would likely bounce the sound back to the bat, giving them a specific location of where this material was located, which is why I think the group could have hid behind the countless metal pipes there and could have shielded themselves from the monster's echolocation, as it would have bounced back on the pipes instead of them. And we were near a body of water to jump in, which is why I think it could have been worth risking it, before simply jumping into the water not knowing the direction of where this indoor river would take us. Kasumi tries but fails to catch her breath in the water, and she passes out. And the gang unknowingly leaves her behind, until they realize she's missing, and Six-Pack Stud heads back in to save her, barely making it in time to save her, and he brings her back to shore. But something is off, because Tall Guy here thinks that there's more of those monsters down in this hallway. He's wrong, however, since the terrifying monsters are right above them, dripping saliva onto the cold steel floor. The group looks up and sees an army of those things ready to pounce, causing them to run. Six-Pack Stud thinks fast and trips some of them as the gang blasts through the hallway at Mach speed, running under this door as they come to a dead end. The gang now has no choice but to fight these things. Six-Pack Stud gets ready to bring it on, but not before Tall Guy and Glasses Guy decide to shoot their borrowed lead into these beasts, blasting all of them 6 ways to Sunday. But the horror won't stop as more of these monsters keep coming, and one of them eyes Six-Pack Stud and tries coming for his face. He demands that one of them pass him a gun as he gets cornered, but then suddenly Kasumi distracts them by banging a wrench, causing the monsters to come for her throat. She's about to die as the monsters get ready to pounce, but then Six-Pack Stud gets awarded a shotgun and takes this final monster down, blowing him away better than Simon Pegg in an action flick. But suddenly one of the monsters pops back up, using its tail and knocking down Tall Guy, forcing Six-Pack Stud to chase him away before shooting the door shut. This monster is not what it seems, as its corpse suddenly turns into stone. This thing has the Medusa Virus, and now it seems as though it's evolved to infect animals too. The group contemplates how long they've truly been asleep for as they try to take a breather, and this nurse bandages up Tall Guy, telling him that she was a medical professional. Six-Pack Stud also loads up while Kasumi and Glasses Guy dig through the files to find out what has happened, but can't find much. Although something is not sitting right with Six-Pack Stud, as he notices something about Glasses Guy. Just then, this blonde-haired girl finally snaps thanks to the kid not shutting up about his game, freaking out about him and the monsters who are lurking just outside. Tall Guy then snaps her out of it as Six-Pack Stud calls out Glasses Guy. Firstly, our partners down here are the only ones we can trust, but that could be a problem since we don't know them well enough. Heck, Six-Pack Stud is a convict. From the start, I would have taken into account how being down here would affect everybody, and this includes stress levels. Because this blonde girl just tried to beat the shit out of the kid before she suddenly came to her senses. This makes me think that she's losing it, and if that's the case, then how long before the rest of the group goes crazy too? Stress buildup can disrupt synapse regulation, resulting in the loss of sociability and the avoidance of interaction with others. Blonde-haired chick going nuts already makes me think that the longer we stay down here, the more messed up dangerous and unreliable our group will start to be, and I can't be leading a bunch of crazies down here, so believe it or not, I'd break out these golden hands and start giving everyone a free massage, foot massage, back rub, and even maybe a yoga session or two to get every single person in this room to chill. As the better I help them manage their stress levels, the safer off I'll be, at least until we get to the surface. Then it's every man for himself, which is why it would be good to make a few friends down here. Six-Pack Stud calls Glasses Guy out, saying before entering cryo sleep, they had to take off all of their belongings. But Glasses Guy is still wearing his chain necklace. Glasses Guy whips up bullshit and swears he snuck his necklace through security, but no one believes him. That's when he grabs his gun and holds Kasumi hostage, finally letting the truth out. He says that he planned to come here alone until everyone followed him, claiming that he was sent here to do God's holy work, shooting the controls on his way out as he drags Kasumi into the lift, saying that if anyone follows him, she's dead. Before leaving, he gives them directions out of this place, as the lift door closes on Kasumi's terrified face. In the lift, Glasses Guy realizes that he's seen Kasumi before, almost getting scared himself at the sight of her, but she doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Back at the security center, Six-Pack Stud prepares to go get Kasumi as he owes her one, thanks to her saving his butt earlier. The rest decide to join in, but just then, Blonde Girl suddenly finds out the most horrifying news. On the computer, they find today's date, showing it's only been 2 days since they went to sleep. Not years, not months, but 2 days. They quickly leave the center to find more answers from Glasses Guy, who surely knows more than he's letting on. Back in the lift, Glasses Guy tells Kasumi of when he met her. Back when the cryogenic chamber started to open up, he saw Kasumi brute force open the entrance to the pod bay, following behind her millions of live thorns, as if she was controlling them. But Kasumi thinks it's her identical twin sister, Shizuku. She's alive. Kasumi begs the doc for more information about her sister, but that's all he knows. She left just as quickly as she came. Just then, a massive rumbling is heard as the lift trembles. Something is going on outside. Meanwhile, Six-Pack Stud and the gang come across an atrium and bump into more of those terrifying monsters, as the hallway and the floors beneath are littered with flesh-eating demons. So they head upwards as quietly as they can, using the vines to painfully cling to the ledge. The boy and Blonde Girl go first, then Tall Guy follows, but a second major tremor bellows through the atrium as pieces of glass shards and debris come crashing down, causing the Blonde Girl to inadvertently squeal for her life, alerting the monsters below. They need to get out of there. Six-Pack Stud prepares for the inevitable as he gets surrounded by monsters, but takes one for the team, firing a round into the gas line, causing the whole area to blow up. Okay, they could have avoided this hiccup from the beginning. After experiencing what the kid had to say, we now know for a fact that these monsters use echolocation. They could have used this to their advantage to have been prepared for what was to come. They were already at the security center and stocked up on ammo and weapons. They could have foreseen that they were probably gonna run into more of those monsters, so they should have stocked up not on just ammunition, but throwable items to distract the monsters. The beauty about this is that they could have used anything as stuff that they could have thrown, and as they needed to climb the metal ledge, they could have even used their bullet round to distract the monsters, simply by tossing one down to the bottom floor of the atrium, right before they needed to make their break by climbing upward. The sound emitting from the bottom of the atrium caused by the thrown objects could have likely led most of them down there.
It seems like 87% of you are not subscribed, so help us with the algorithm and subscribe now.
Kasumi wakes up with a start, finding herself still in the now broken lift, with Glasses Guy seemingly nowhere to be found. She gets up and enters into a strange green room, filled with horrifying creatures and monsters. Suddenly, she hears voices, and she quietly goes to the sounds coming from the far-off room at the end of the hallway. Here, she overhears Glasses Guy confessing to what he did to Six-Pack Stud, saying that he borrowed a dead man's clothing and snuck in to pretend to be one of the patients. He also claims that he's planning to upload the entire database of what went down here into a memory card, just as a loud rumbling is heard in the distance. Six-Pack Stud then goes to check it out. Kasumi is shocked at this news. Glasses Guy then pops up behind Kasumi, saying that he used to be the leader of the R&D development team, discovering this virus on corporate dime and saving the world in the process, which he hoped would have led to a Nobel Prize as well as fame. He says that it was thanks to the shady boss who lives up in the tower that he unknowingly unknowingly ended up doing the devil's work and didn't realize it before it was too late. Just then, the memory card finishes uploading and Glasses Guy gives it to Kazumi, telling her to use this to show the world the horrors the Venus Corporation has done here. But Kazumi isn't having any of it, as she angrily blames Glasses Guy for the numerous deaths and the split up of families that he caused, just as behind her the most terrifying sight lays waiting for their conversation to end. Another monster demon. Suddenly, the demon lunges at Kazumi and Glasses Guy pushes her out of the way, telling her to guard the memory card with her life, saying whoever accesses the knowledge hidden within Medusa wins the game, just as his head is torn apart from his body, resulting in a spewing, bloody mess. Kazumi lays there, petrified, just as Six-Pack Stud comes in like a hero to save her, shooting multiple rounds into the monster demon with a vengeance. They then make a quick getaway into the hallway. Kazumi runs for her life and springs across the gaping chasm, barely making it onto the ledge, nearly falling, but is saved thanks to Six-Pack Stud. But it's not over. Six-Pack Stud then hangs her loose over the edge, offering a trade, wanting Kazumi to hand over the memory card, but Kazumi refuses. Just then, she notices the tattoo on his arm, the same tattoo as the man at the beginning. This pisses off Six-Pack Stud, who decides to quit his negotiation and pull her back in, but he doesn't know that this mistake will cost him his life.
Mayday, mayday, G-Squad to Dom headquarters. We have a problem.
We officially know that Venus Corp was behind everything, and we finally achieved our mission objective. And now I've made best friends with Kazumi. Yay! Which means that it only makes sense that I kill her. She's dead, wait. Seriously, hear me out. Our main reason was to find out if Venus Corp was really behind the outbreak, and now we have the proof. But we're still in the middle of it, and there's still a demon monster hunting us. I would simply award Kazumi with a certified haymaker right to the face, knocking her out, sorry, and then I'd shoot her in the head. Then once dead, I'd use her body as food as a distraction, and this way, if we run into the rest of the gang on the way up, we could have simply lied to them about having killed Kazumi. It is a fact that relying on helping Kazumi when we already achieved our mission objective only slowed us down and put our lives more at risk than was necessary. Six-Pack Stud shoots rounds into the oncoming monster demon, but it's no use as this blood-craving creature just doesn't stop, forcing Six-Pack Stud to run before Kazumi helps him out, barely escaping with their lives. But this beast refuses to die, forcing Six-Pack Stud to run to the end of the hallway, making his last stand, and beating this beast with a baton, crying out to Kazumi to climb up to the ledge before it's too late. But she isn't quick enough, and Six-Pack Stud isn't strong enough, and the monster knocks him down right next to her, cornering them. They are about to die, right here, right now, until suddenly a beautiful explosion happens right in front of them, lighting up the monster as it squeals in pain. It's Tall Guy and Blonde Girl who have come to save them, and they continuously light up the demon with Molotov cocktails. But Kazumi then realizes that the data chip is gone. Their only hope of showing to the world what happened here is gone. The group then reunites and escapes as the ceiling then collapses onto the monster. They then take refuge in a cellar, as Kazumi then outs Six-Pack Stud, telling the gang that he knows more than he's letting on. Six-Pack Stud then reveals that he's a second lieutenant in the British Special Forces, the SAS. He's been undercover and took the post of a convict for the cryosleep chamber. Once he found evidence that Venus Gate cooked up Medusa as a bioweapon, he had orders to blow the lid off of this castle. The gang acts in disgust as they try to wrap their head around this terrible news. Six-Pack Stud then tells them that his plan is to bring in the CEO of Venus Gate, this Russian guy, as he's been exposed to the Medusa Virus this whole time, but is asymptomatic, which means he's got something in him that they can use to stop this virus. Okay, I'd be a little concerned with the rumblings that have been heard throughout our adventure. Has anyone else been paying attention to this? Because instead of being below ground in the advanced labs, we are now walking through an old-ass castle, which freaks me out a little bit because I doubt that it's up to code. To withstand a collapse from an earthquake, buildings in general need to be able to redistribute forces that travel through them during a seismic event, whether that be in the form of installed sheared walls, cross braces, diaphragms, or moment-resistant frames to reinforce a building, and I doubt that they thought to install all of this during the 15th century, which means we need to be on alert, as it's not only the monsters that could kill us, but the very structure of this castle could crush us if we aren't careful. Now, on another note, we lost our only evidence in the form of that memory card, so that sucks. So all we got left is the CEO of this whole shitstorm, and the CEO may be asymptomatic, but that doesn't mean that he's immune to the virus. It could just mean that his immune system has only encountered a smaller viral load, or it could mean that he's been exposed to similar biological entities before. I'm just saying there could be a million reasons why this CEO hasn't died yet from a allegedly being exposed to the Medusa Virus. Their best bet, if they had to, would be to head to the reception area, break into the computer system, and find out where the CEO's office is located, because the contents in his office could more than likely reveal to us some more information about the virus, and that was the worst case scenario. Just then, a rumbling is heard again, and the doors to the cellar bust open, causing the gang to close it shut, but this time something bumps at it. Is it a monster demon? Nope. Just that old Russian CEO bastard as he pushes in all withered and beaten. Russian guy then looks up at Kasumi's face and gets a terrible fright. He's seen her face before, or maybe it was her sister, Shizuku. Russian guy comes clean, saying that a test subject went out of control, and that was the cause of all of this. His mission with this virus was to take the power of dreams to forge a new reality. But that's when everything went horribly wrong. Suddenly, floodwater comes rushing in and fills the cellar quickly. Russian guy then points them towards a new way out, causing Six-Pack Stud to blast a new way through, as the Russian guy leads the way. He then spills even more beans and tells them 8 years ago, a meteor came crashing down upon a remote Siberian village, causing everyone there to die of a remote disease, except for this one girl. And it is here when they met the most terrifying creature, fully formed from this girl's imagination, as if it were through some kind of magic, thanks to this unknown virus from outer space. By purging the effects of this virus and bringing this creature to life, this little girl somehow survived Medusa, and this led them to believe that creatures formed by one's dreams from the Medusa virus will never contract the virus itself, and this is what Venus Corp was working on. But this guy is a Russian psycho and thinks that this virus is a blessing in disguise, meaning humanity can evolve through dreams into something much better. This was the reason everyone here was chosen as test subjects to have their dreams experimented on. Russian guy says that after this little girl's death and during the last 2 days, he came across a new test subject, a little girl much like Kasumi, but that's when everything went horribly wrong. Kasumi demands to know who this girl was, but the doctor ignores her and says how he couldn't bring himself to stop the experiments and that it's now too late to fix anything. Just then, a massive gunshot is heard as Six-Pack Stud quickly disarms Russian guy. Kasumi has had enough and demands Russian guy to take her to where this secret girl is being held captive. Suddenly, vines burst through the ground in a storm of thorns, and the gang makes a run for it, leaving Russian guy to his fate. But then suddenly, another monster demon appears right in front of them. The little kid then quickly runs under the monster's legs, leaving this beast to charge towards the rest of the gang, before Six-Pack Stud then comes guns blazing, telling them to go find the kid, as he may know the way out. Holy crap, we got another one of those demons? Great, we gotta think fast. Good call on attempting to protect the kid, as he has proven himself to be a tremendous asset so far, and his gamer skills have certainly proved their worth. And you know the only person who hasn't done much to help? Blonde girl, which means she's gotta go. I would have pushed her directly into the monster's way, using her as a distraction, as these beasts tend to be a bit distracted when chomping on human flesh. If the gang thinks that they hunt primarily with sound, then I would first aim to destroy that part of their body first over anything else. That would leave them at least a little bit discombobulated before escaping, as without their superpowered hearing aids, they'll be a little more than a helpless nuisance. And this way we get to save some ammo, just in case. Six-Pack Stud beats the devil out of this demon until his shotgun breaks. Then the demon uses this advantage and grabs his face, ending his life right here and now. Just kidding. Tall guy comes back swinging Excalibur and puts one right in his noggin, saving Six-Pack Stud, but not before dying from the Medusa Virus himself. The rest of the gang meets a dead end until Six-Pack Stud joins them and tells them to quickly dive in before the water gets them, swimming upward to prevent the current from forcing them back down, ultimately reaching the ladder and climbing out. They don't realize it yet, but almost all of them are about to die. As they get out, the group finds a helicopter as Six-Pack Stud tries to get it to start. Meanwhile, Kasumi finds a video recorder showing footage of her sister Shizuku being infected with something horrible, causing the medics to take her into the castle itself. Shizuku was inside the building all along. Kasumi runs back in towards the castle before Six-Pack Stud tries to stop her, but it's no use. The castle then begins rumbling, with the surrounding vines coming to life, going nuts all around them. This girl... She's caused us enough stress and has single-handedly ruined our mission objective with the current destruction of that memory card. Yeah, you remember that? That's what happens when we leave her with nice things. She breaks them. If Shizuku is in there, then that means there must be some significant reason for this, as we clearly didn't see her getting in the pods with us. And since Kasumi and Shizuku are identical twins, I say our best bet would be to kidnap Kasumi and take her with us and allow the world to study her genetic material. Now I know being twins means that one one of them could have picked up genetic mutations growing up, making both of them to be 100% copies of each other not necessarily a thing. But still, I think it's a better idea than letting her run away. At this point, she's our best bet in figuring out what happened to the world, as the CEO of Venus Corp is dead, and we lost our only evidence in that memory card, which is actually kind of Kasumi's fault too, so I say she owes us one. Six-Pack Stud gets back into the chopper and gets Blonde Girl and the kid out of there, but at the last minute, he tries to go back for Kasumi, but Blonde Girl sticks a gun at him and threatens to blow his head off if he doesn't take her and the kid out of there ASAP. The castle itself has morphed into a terrifying vine dragon, roaring with all of its might, and it attempts to fly away with the castle itself. Then all of a sudden, Blonde Girl starts coughing like there's no tomorrow, and accidentally shoots the helicopter controls in the process. Six-Pack Stud tries his best, but is then violently ejected from his seat, flying off as Blonde Girl and the kid go down with the helicopter. Six-Pack Stud rolls off of the roof, thinking fast as he falls through the window and lands right in front of Kasumi herself, who has just found out where her sister is being kept. Six-Pack Stud is distraught about blonde-haired girl and the kid, but agrees to help Kasumi for his final mission, and one that will cost him his life. Six-Pack Stud and Kasumi head deep into the castle as they enter a cryo-sleep chamber, but then Six-Pack Stud all of a sudden sees his sister show up, but she's been dead for years. Six-Pack Stud knows that this is not real, and that this is actually Alice, the castle's advanced computer, doing all of this. She says her new mission directive is to destroy anything that affects its newly created host, and fights Six-Pack Stud in a brutal death match. Alice then reveals that petrification aside, Medusa is a virus that affects the mind, and that those who contract it fit a certain psychological build, with more than likely a traumatic past. She says that Medusa makes those who contract it highly fragile, with the new optimal host of this castle becoming unstable if she lost Kasumi, meaning that Kasumi is the key to stopping all of this. We also cut back to 2 days ago when Six-Pack Stud met up with Glasses Guy, right before Shizuku appears before their very eyes as a plant monster, controlling Medusa herself. And she spares Glasses Guy and Six-Pack Stud right before Kasumi woke up. Six-Pack Stud then realizes that the only way to stop Alice from this hallucination is to get rid of the chip in his neck, and shoots himself right in the neck, ridding him of the microchip and barely surviving in the process. Phew, my goodness. There are so many ways that this could have gone wrong, and really everything should have gone wrong, because 1, the trajectory of the bullet determines the anatomic injury, but it's clear as day that Six-Pack Stud shot that round right into his neck. He didn't even try to angle it or nothing. The platysma is a broad sheet of muscle fibers that extend from the collarbone to the angle of the jaw, and serves as an important superficial landmark, as patients without violation of this layer are less likely to have injury to deeper structures within the neck. The bullet also could have had a more erratic trajectory, which makes it all the more likely that there's no way Six-Pack Stud could have predicted where the bullet was gonna end up, and even if he did, you don't have to be a doctor to know that a shot to the neck would at the very least require immediate medical attention. Six-Pack Stud wakes up to realize that his sister is actually a vine monster and blows it to hell. He then reaches for the deactivation code to shut down Alice and the whole operation, but is stabbed through the chest by a vine, barely pressing the button in time. And that's when it all begins. The enormous plant monster then gets affected as it struggles to maintain its flight. Elsewhere, Kasumi wakes up in a vine-filled room, with Shizuku laying in the middle of the room like Sleeping Beauty. Kasumi then tries to go save her, but in a horrible twist, sees her sister laying dead on the table. But something is not right. She then realizes that the woman on the table is not Shizuku, but Kasumi herself, meaning that she is actually Shizuku. It turns out that before they went into the castle, Kasumi didn't want to leave Shizuku, and in an effort to stay together forever, tried to kill Shizuku along with her, but failed, resulting in Kasumi's death. Shizuku was so traumatized that she blocked that part of her memory and assumed the identity of her sister Kasumi, and that the lady in the recording was Shizuku herself, evolving into Medusa right after her sister's death. This revelation causes the Medusa hold on her to snap, as her own reality comes crashing down right before her, ultimately defeating Medusa in the process. Just then, Six-Pack Stud comes crashing in to save her as they run for their lives to escape the castle before it's too late, forcefully creating their own exit plan, before Shizuku's powers help them land safely. In the aftermath, Six-Pack Stud says to not give up hope and to keep on living, a soldier's dying wish. Just then, Shizuku runs into the kid as they reunite and go in search for help, hoping to forget this terrifying place forever.
And if you ever want to leave this terrifyingly sexy video of ours, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out How to Beat playlist down below.